Hello everyone, welcome to another video, another tutorial. In this video, I will be revising with you how can you analyze, explain and describe the graphs and tables of the polynomial functions. So let's start by graphing and analyzing using a table. So you are having the graph of this polynomial. So first of all, you will start by creating a table, and as I always tell you, you have to choose negative values, 0 and positive values. Then start substituting, start plugging this number inside this function, substitute them and find the value of y. So after substituting -2, you will be getting 2 here. So you will be doing the same for the rest. So if you substitute it with all the values, you will be getting 2 -10, then -6, then -4, then 2. So let's study this and analyze this polynomial only using the table without the graph. So first of all, guys, you are having here change in the sign of f of x, positive then negative. That means you are having a root between x is equal -2 and x is equal -1. Then let's continue. Do I have another sign change? Yes. So depending on the location principle, you are having a root between x is equal 1 and x is equal 2. So let's just keep this in your record. I will write it again for you. Just keep it in your record. So whenever I will be graphing, you will be checking this answer. So other than this, how can I know whether I'm having relative max or relative minimum? Let's study the f of x. What happens to the f of x? So I was having 2, then it started to minimize. So your value started to minimize. Then it reached to a value and it started to maximize. So regardless of the shape of the polynomial, I know that I'm having f of x decreasing, then f of x increasing. That means I'm having a minimum here. So let's graph it and let's know what is the shape of this function. So first of all, I will go to the first point, which is -2 and 2. I will be putting a point here. Then -1 and -10, my point will be down. So it will be like highlighting the -10. Then it will be 0 and -6. Then it will be 1 and -4. Just go there. After this, it will be 2 and 2. So just connect between them with a smooth line. So let's go from here to here. So it's not that accurate, but whenever you are graphing it using your pen or your pencil, for sure you will be getting more accurate graph than myself in the laptop. So you will be having something similar to this graph. And now let's be sure of our answer. Let's look at the x-axis. So we are having a root between x is equal -2 and -1. So let's check this. Yes, excellent. So it's not that accurate, but now I will show you the accurate graph. Then we are having another root between x is equal 1 and x is equal 2. And yes, we are having a minimum here. Now, and it is occurring at x is equal -1. Let me show you the accurate graph using Desmos. So imagine you are having a ready graph. How can you analyze it? So if you are having a ready graph, just look at f of x. It was positive, then suddenly it became negative. That means you are having exactly one root between these two values, which is x is equal -1 and x is equal -2. Then Let's look at this one. It was here negative, then it became positive. The location principle, that means I'm having exactly one root here between x is equal 1 and x is equal 2. Now let's continue analyzing the graph. F of x decreasing, then it is increased. So that means I'm having a relative minimum here. And it is equal to minus 10, around minus 10, and it will be occurring at x is equal minus 1. Now let's study the behavior of the function whenever x goes to infinity. What will happen to the graph? As you can see, f of x will be increasing, so it will be going to infinity. Now let's study when x goes to minus infinity, what will be happening to the graph. So f of x will be going to infinity. So let's focus now on the end behavior. So both of them will go to the same direction. So we can check that your solution is right, because look at the n, the highest n, it is 4, and 4 it is an even number, so that means the end behavior will be in the same direction. So in general, we analyze the graph and we analyze the table. Now it's the time to check further your understanding. So if I would like to have a table for you and a graph, how can I check where will be the roots? Estimate the roots. So check where you are having the change of the sign, whether in the graph or whether in the table. So let's focus on the table first. So I'm having minus 7, then 1. That means I'm having exactly one root between x is equal minus 1 and between x is equal 0. Now let's check the other roots. I'm having 1, 1, no change of sign, then 1 minus 1. So I'm having here a change of sign, and it is exactly between x is equal 1 and x is equal 2. Then I'm having another change with the sign. Let me choose another color. So it will be between this one and this one. So it will be between x is equal 2 and between x is equal 3. Great. Now again, let's study the max and the minimum values, and at the same time checking it using the graph. So from minus 29 until minus 7, your f of x started to increase. Let's see what will happen until I go to 1, 1. Also, it started to increase. That means if you would like to sketch it, so it will be increasing. Then let's see what happened from 1 to minus 1. It started to decrease. Then from minus 1 until to 1, it increased again. And it continue increasing. So with this, you are having here your maximum and here your minimum. So you must know how can you analyze using the table or using the graph. So if you would like to use the graph, you must look at the x-intercepts and try to estimate them. And from f of x increasing then decreasing, you will be having here maximum, decreasing then increasing, you will be having minimum. Let me revise again with you. What do I mean by the relative max and the relative minimum, and what are the other terminologies for these words? So when I talk about the relative max and the relative minimum, I'm just studying it from the points nearby to it. So this is for the relative max and minimum. And the other two words are the extrema and the turning points. So let's focus on this. So whenever you are having relative max, you are having a point A here. So you are studying this from the points nearby to it. So it is the maximum value of them. So if you are having point B here, You are studying it from the points nearby to it. Great. Now, what about if you would like to find the turning point, which is the maximum and the minimum, which is the extrema? So if you are having degree of n, all what you need to do is have n minus 1. And it is the same when you find the synthetic division and find the depressed polynomial. It is the same equation. So you have to know the difference whenever I'm asking you to find the turning points. And here is some information which you need to know. Some odd functions will not have turning points. So now let's study. Whenever f of x is increasing then decreasing, know that you will be having relative max. Then whenever you are having it decreasing, and let's take the other color, decreasing then increasing again, you will be having relative minimum. And we talked about the another terminologies, the extrema and the turning points. Now let's try together. How can we estimate the x coordinates, and how can we know where the relative max and minimum will occur for you? So let's analyze it from the graph. So you know here that you are having sign change between minus 17 and 0, that you know that between x is equal minus 2 and x is equal minus 1, you will be having a 0. So just put this as a point for you whenever you are having a change in the sign. Then let's check another change in the sign. Here is it. So you know that between x is equal 0 and x is equal 1, you have another root. Just highlight them. Then just continue. Do I have any other sign change? Here only between 4 and 5. Now we studied the roots. Let's study the maximum and the minimum. So look at the values, minus 17. Then it started to increase until it reached 3. Then what happened? Suddenly it is decreased, minus 2, then minus 9, then minus 12. Then minus 4, what happened? Suddenly it started to increase again until it reached to 18. So, which will give you the indication that here you are having relative maximum and here you are having relative minimum. With this, you need to know that whenever I'm asking you to find the relative max, relative minimum, that means you need to find the f of x value. But if I told you at which value it is occurring, that means you need to find at which value of x. Great. Now, lastly, I will be revising with you how can you use the graph directly if it is given to you. So first of all, you are having here degree of 3. So if I would like to know how many turning points, let's use the rule. It is n minus 1. 3 minus 1, that means you are having 2 turning points. So let's check. Yes, I'm having 2 turning points, but I don't know which one of them is the max, which one is the minimum. I have to study the behavior of this polynomial. So let's see what will happen to the function when x goes to infinity. What happens to it? F of x will be going also to infinity. Now, what will happen when x goes to minus infinity? F of x will be going to minus infinity, which is clear for you that the end behavior is not in the same direction, and this is because I'm having an odd degree. Great. So now how can I know now whether I have max or minimum and where they are? So whenever you are having f of x going up, 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 increasing, then it is going down, decreasing. That means this point is very important for you, because at this point you will be having your relative max. So let's write it, the relative max. You need to write the value of y, and you need to know at which value it will be happening. So at x is equal -1. Now let's continue studying this graph. So it was down, then it went up. F of x decreasing, then it is increasing. So this point is very important point for you. So you are having here in this point already, you are having here relative minimum, and take the value of y minus 3.63 at which value? At x is equal 0.667, but he is telling you to estimate. That means you can write between x is equal 0 and x is equal 1. And with this, all the revision about the behavior and about the turning points, relative max, relative minimum, how to analyze the tables and the graphs of the polynomial is done. If you are having any question, you can write in the comments. And that's the end of the video. Wait for the other videos. Thank you so much.